Hello, everyone, and welcome to ITMO, which stands for Instant Transformation Moment. And the reason we call it that is that we use a very rapid technique to activate our spiritual intelligence. It's called the 3Q method. And we meet every week at this time, Wednesdays at 12 noon GMT, meeting on Facebook, where we all experience our spiritual intelligence together using the 3Q method. Now, before we go into that method and experience our spiritual intelligence together, I want to spend a few minutes today talking about intuition, how spiritual intelligence is the key to intuition. And now, to help me explain that, I want to show you an article I wrote on this topic and read a little bit from this article. So you should be seeing this article on your screens now. Spiritual intelligence and intuition. So let me just read a bit from this. Intuition is blocked by the ego and enabled by the soul. The ego is identified with the thinking mind at the object pole of attention, which binds attention to the step-by-step process of thought. But the soul is not confined to the ego's bit-by-bit mode of comprehension. As consciousness itself at the soul is free from bondage to the thinking mind. So let me just refresh your understanding of the twin poles of attention. If you look at this diagram here, we have the object pole of attention on the right and the subject pole of attention on the left. So at the object pole are states of body and mind. Everything we can be aware of is at the object pole. And when you identify with the object pole, that's called being the ego. So when you identify with your thoughts and emotions, that's called being the ego. Whereas at the subject pole, we have consciousness itself, or feeling awareness itself. And when you identify with consciousness, being the soul. So as we've just read from the article, when you're identified with the ego, that blocks your intuition. But when you're identified with the soul, with consciousness itself, which is conscious of objects of attention, then you have you're not in bondage to the thinking mind. And I'm going to continue now. Consequently, the soul has the necessary free attention to be receptive to intuition in the form of instant, complete comprehension prior to the step-by-step process of thought at the object pole. Intuition is therefore a faculty of spiritual intelligence, which is the intelligence of the soul. So let me just go over that once more. When you're being the ego, you're in bondage to the thinking mind. So you have no free attention to be receptive to the intuition because your attention bandwidth is completely taken up with thinking. And when your attention's completely taken up with thinking, you don't have the free attention necessary to receive intuitions. And intuitions, of course, are a form of instant, complete comprehension, which prior to thinking. So that's why the ego blocks intuition and the soul is receptive to intuition, the soul being simply consciousness itself. Now, this article is on the SQ website, sqi.co. Please go and have a look at it if you want to get more information on this topic. and you'll find many other articles on this website about other matters connected to spiritual intelligence. So let's leave it there now, and we're going to now use to experience spiritual intelligence to shift from ego to soul. So I'm going to show you a few slides to illustrate this method, and then we can use the method to activate our spiritual intelligence. So the symbol you see represents 3 dimensions of intelligence: IQ, EQ, emotional intelligence, and SQ, spirit. And the symbol opens out into the twin poles of attention that just a few minutes ago, object pole of attention and so at the object pole are states of body and mind and consciousness itself. And when you identify with states of body and mind, and when you identify with consciousness itself, that's called. Now the connection between ego and soul lies in this. And so to get from ego to soul, which is what intelligence, we have to go through this mechanism. Now, this mechanism from object to subject pole, from ego to soul, that takes only three steps are notice, feel, and be. In a moment, I'm going to describe these 3 steps to you, and then you can take steps along with me as I describe them. Experience for yourself spiritual intelligence, which is self to the true self, from ego to soul. It's your spiritual intelligence. So 3 steps. 1, notice. So what are you meant to notice? You simply know this is your operating system, the twin poles of attention, pole and the soul at the subject pole. So why we have to notice this is that we so often forget, don't we? We get bound up with our thoughts and emotions. We believe I am the thinking mind, and then we forget the fact that I am the one aware of the thinking mind. We forget that there is a subject pole of attention. So step 1, notice, is just reminding ourselves, oh, there is a subject pole. I'm the one who's aware of my thoughts and emotions. I'm not my thoughts and emotions, right? So we just remind ourselves of that in step 1. Step 2 is feel. And this step is all about feeling what it's like at the subject pole, as consciousness itself, as the soul. And to do this step of feel, we use a breathing technique. So I'm going to describe the breathing technique now, and you can do the breathing technique along with me as I describe it. So bring your attention now to your breathing. Just find that still point in the breathing at the end of the in-breath when you're neither breathing in or breathing out. Now it's important not to hold your breath. Just find the still point that's naturally there. It's a naturally occurring still point in the breathing at the end of. Did you find it? It only takes a second, this still point, or less than a second, but it's definitely there if you look for it. Just find that still point without holding your breath, that still point in the breathing at the end of the in-breath before you start to breathe out again. Okay, so once you've found that still point in the breathing at the end of the in-breath, feel what it feels like in feel what it feels like in that still point. How does it feel for you in that still point in the breathing at the end of the in-breath? Feels peaceful, doesn't it? Is that right? Just check it out. Find that peace there. Yeah? Feels peaceful, doesn't it? Now, the reason it feels peaceful is that your thinking mind has paused when the breathing pauses. Just observe that. Just go back to that still point again at the end of the in-breath and observe what happens to your thinking mind when you feel peaceful. The thinking pauses too, doesn't it? That's why you feel peaceful, because it's the thinking that introduces the disturbance. Right, so this is step two, feel. But there's a third step, which is be. And be means to be that peaceful feeling. So let's go back to step two and find that feeling of peace at the end of the in breath, and then I'll lead us into step three. So when you feel that peaceful feeling in the still point, move to step three. Be that peaceful feeling, which means to allow the peaceful feeling to go all over your body and mind. So each time you come to the end of the in breath, find that peaceful feeling in the still point in the breathing, and then be that peaceful feeling on the out breath, allowing that peace to go all over your body and mind. So you'll notice each time you breathe in, at the end of the in breath there's that peaceful feeling, and as you breathe out, that all over your body and mind. So take a look around now. Just confirm for yourself that you're now being consciousness itself. You're being the field of consciousness within which thoughts and emotions may continue to arise, but you're simply being the witness of them. You're not identified with your thoughts and emotions. You're simply being consciousness itself, aware of your thoughts and emotions. So this is called using your spiritual intelligence. And notice we're all doing it together. People from all over the world in this moment connecting with spiritual intelligence. So we're building up like a network of spiritual intelligence on a global scale. It's like we're the global brain, feeling and being us. So you can see how this can contribute to elevating global consciousness, because the more of us who get together and experience this, the more we're actually having an impact on collective consciousness. They've done experiments to show that group meditators have an impact on their environment, which is measurable, in terms of reduced statistics on crime and so on. So right now, as pleasures together, we're contributing to the elevation of global consciousness. And we're making it easier for other people to experience their own spiritual intelligence, because we're carving out a new pathway in collective consciousness from ego to soul, a new pathway through this rapid 3Q method: notice, feel, and be. So I invite you all to join us this week on Wednesday at 12 noon GMT, where we can all experience our spiritual intelligence together. Now you'll notice that when you feel connected to your spiritual intelligence, it's not only a peaceful feeling, but you have access to all the other qualities of the soul: compassion and joy and love and creativity. All these qualities emerge spontaneously at the subject pole of attention, when you're simply being consciousness itself. So if you can, please do join us again next week at the same time, so that we can all experience our spiritual intelligence together. If you can't join us live, then the video will be on the Spiritual Intelligence page as usual on Facebook. So I'll leave it there for today. I hope to see you next week. Bye-bye for now.